You're listening to Angel Talk with Sue and your host, Sue Broome. Sue, take it away.
Thank you, Mark, and welcome everyone for listening to the replay here. And I want to share with you, today we actually are re-recording the show from last week, from April 3rd. And the reason why, of course, Mercury was in its pre-shadow stage, so there was a few technical issues. So if you listen to the live show, awesome, thank you. This may sound a little bit different, but Kris and I are going to do our best to stick on topic, answer the same questions, but it may sound a little different. So thank you so much for playing along with Mercury retrograde and Angel Talk with Sue. So with that, yes, you are listening to Angel Talk with Sue, 1 p.m. Eastern, every Monday on Drive Talk Network. And today, my guest is Kris Vaughan. And Kris, are you with us?
I am. Hello, Sue. How are you?
I'm well.
I get to talk to you again.
I know. It's like, thank you so much for doing this again. I love it. And it's funny because I know that we're so close in proximity, but yet we're so far away because we're on the phone. So,
right.
Yeah. So I want to make sure and mention that now your shop, your Herbal Wisdom, just opened up within the last couple of weeks. You had your grand opening. Can you share us a little bit about that and where it is and how people can actually stop in and physically see you?
Absolutely. So it's Herbal Wisdom Institute, which is an herbalism school and apothecary in Prescott Valley. We're on Florentine Road, just west of Robert Road, if you're familiar with the Prescott Valley area. And the school actually opened almost a year ago, but we moved into this new location this past December. We needed a bigger location, so that's a good problem to have. So we opened here this past December, and we just had our grand opening and ribbon cutting with the Prescott Valley Chamber of Commerce. And that was an amazing day. So they came for the ribbon cutting, and then we had an open house. And a lot of people coming through that had seen us in the newspaper or seen us driving by. And so they came in to check it out. And then, of course, our regular clients and students coming through. So it was really fantastic day. And you came too. So
I did. Fun. It was, I wanted to make sure and stop by, and I wasn't feeling the greatest that day, so it was going to be kind of a drive-by. And I walk in, and it's like, wow, there's a lot of people in here. Which is awesome. It's awesome. And you even said that you could barely walk. An hour before, you could barely walk because there were so many people.
Yep.
So that is
showed up an
absolutely
hour before,
fabulous.
And so it was kind of a party for about 5 hours.
That's awesome. Now, I love that you're local because you get to be one of our speakers at Spirit in Motion Expo that's coming up April 29th. And that's here in Prescott, right along Highway 69 at La Quinta Inns and Suites. And Kris, you, get to do a lecture at 3 o'clock in the afternoon called The Wisdom of Healing with Our Plants. So the thing that I think is
really
so
great.
I know, I'm so excited, and it's really the way that I understand it. It's really about the way that you're going to share how we can connect with the ancient wisdom of the plants. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. In that workshop, I'm really going to be introducing people to the idea of the relationship that we have with plants and how we and the plants really were created to have this synergistic healing relationship. We'll talk a little bit about chemically how plants work, but a lot of it is this beautiful energetic partnership that we have and how we can choose herbs, plants for our not only physical healing, but our mental, emotional, spiritual healing. And in the physical healing part, I have one of my herbalism students who will be teaching with me. So she's going to be talking specifically about herbs for wound healing and wound care. And then I'm just really going to also see what other healing topics come up during that workshop. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to find some of our local plants that have budded out, flowered out. So right now we're still kind of early in the season, but I may be able to find a few to bring with me, and we'll talk about those so people can see them.
Well, that'll be nice, because that'll be like, hey, this is what I got today. This is what it looks like.
Right.
Excuse me, and this is what it can do for you. That's awesome.
Yep. And when I'm teaching, I like to come usually with some teas. So I usually turn it into a little bit of a tea party, tea tasting. So you may have the opportunity to taste some yummies too.
Oh, that's fun. And teas are always fun because it's so amazing what you can make teas out of. I mean, really, I know one of my absolute favorite teas is dandelion root.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I know I always see you're looking for dandelions because you want to make wine this year, don't you?
I do. I want to make dandelion wine, but every time I see a yard with lots of dandelions in it, I'm either like too afraid to walk up to the door and knock on some stranger's door and say, hey, can I weed your yard? Right? Or they're friends of mine and they go, yeah, I just sprayed them. So I can't use them.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, that's pretty funny. Yeah. Well, now, I know one of the things that you also do, and this helps people kind of get to know the plants that are in the local area, is you go on herb walks, right?
Yes, I have several plant walks coming up over the next couple of months. This month, April, I have 2 that I'm doing at Montezuma's Well in Rimrock, Arizona. Those 2 plant walks are full, super popular.
Yeah.
Plant walk, because it's just this beautiful spiritual location, right? So right. I have those 2 in April, and then I have 2 in May that will be held in Sedona, and then 2 in June here in Prescott. And so having the opportunity to come to all of the different walks will give you a really good look at how our plant choices change depending on the bioregion that we live in. I think one of the reasons that Rimrock, the Montezuma's Well, is so popular is because it's a really special place where we have 3 bioregions that all converge in that one location. So we get a really great look at plants from all different types of terrain that we wouldn't normally see in any other given walk.
That's really cool. And I didn't realize that you did them in like 3 different areas for some reason. Well, I guess Prescott and Prescott Valley, but I didn't realize that you were doing them over in Sedona also. So that's really cool.
Yeah. In March, I also did down in New River, Black Canyon City area. Yeah. So people got to see the low desert plants as well, like the saguaros and chaparral and jojoba that we don't have up here. So
love the saguaros and the chaparral. Now that's the stuff. I have a tincture from you. There was a really cool. Will you tell the story on the chaparral?
I think, did I give you that as a tincture or a flower essence? I think it was.
Oh, you know what? It might have been. I don't know.
Was it a flower essence?
I just know it's something.
Yeah. So I do a lot of. Yep. That's a flower essence. I do a lot of flower essences of these desert plants. When I'm working with a client on something where there's some type of an emotional component to whatever condition that we're working on. So, health conditions, health challenges, whatever you want to call them, these symptoms, they don't show up for no reason. Right? They're always a sign of something that started a while ago, an imbalance in the body that happened. And oftentimes that imbalance comes from an experience or an event that had great emotion to it that maybe we were not yet able to work through. And our body, if you're ever familiar with Chinese medicine, each of our organs stores different emotions. So when we have an imbalance in the body that's affecting a particular body system or organ system, then we look at what is that emotional root. And so I will often give desert flower essences for supporting the emotional aspect of healing. And then we get greater benefit in supporting the physical aspect using herbs.
Yeah, and the chaparral flower, it was like, if I remember right, I hope you correct me, because it was almost like it would take everything in and then only use what it needed. Am I saying it right?
Well, plants are really smart that way. So we may give a particular plant or particular flower essence for a reason that we think we're giving it for. And these plants are so much smarter than we are. So they will really determine what they need to do in the body. And it may be something miraculous and wonderful that we didn't even expect. Chaparral as a flower essence, by its very nature, is all about transformation. And releasing old things that no longer serve us. It's very much a detoxification plant, and opening us up to those new things that are for our greater good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. As soon as we're done here, I'm going to go take my chaparral flower. Now, the other thing, the story that I absolutely love, I remember you telling me about the mimosa tree, and you said how beautiful it was, and then the next time I'm at your office, and this actually was your old office, but I walk in, and it's like there's all of these mimosa branches all over your office. So,
and when we say all over, it was really all over. I was a little crazy with that tree. I know. Yeah, that was.
So what's the story on that?
So, I when I first started studying herbs, I would hear a lot about how plants would talk to people, and I just really kind of thought that was crazy because I had not yet experienced that. And it took a while for me to begin to learn that they do speak to us, and if we're open to it, we can hear it, right? So one day. Well, I had been in that office. That was my old space. I had been in there for, 6-8 months at that point. And there was this particular tree, this really pretty big tree at the corner of the parking lot. And I would drive past it every morning when I would pull in, right? And never paid much attention to the tree. Well, one morning I pulled in and it was all in bloom and it had these beautiful pink flowers on it that look like feather dusters. And so you can't not notice this tree when it's in bloom because it's so beautiful and so bright pink. So I pull in and I'm driving past the tree and I hear in my mind, the mimosa tree is so beautiful. And I park the car and I sit there for a second and I'm like, what in the world is a mimosa tree? I had not ever heard of a mimosa tree. And I turn and I look and I realize that it's the tree with the pink flowers. Now, how in the world would I have known what that tree was, right? So it had to be the tree speaking to me. So, of course, I go in and I start researching mimosa and I find out its botanical name, Albizia julibrissin, and that it's a big Chinese medicine remedy for depression, anxiety. They call it the tree of happiness. So I began to do a lot of research and I thought, I have this amazing medicine right outside my door. So I go to my landlord and I say, hey, do you mind if I prune your tree a little bit? He's like, knock yourself out. I'm sure he's thinking, he's weird. But whatever. Went out and I pruned, there were actually 2 mimosa trees that I pruned and went a little crazy. So I had mimosa leaf coming out my ears. It was everywhere. But I harvested the plant for its leaf, its bark, and its flowers to make medicine from all 3 of those. And I often put that into remedies for people that are having anxiety, depression, loss of joy, that kind of thing.
That is so cool because it's called the tree of happiness, right? Is that what you said?
Right.
Tree of happiness,
Yep.
Yeah. I love that. And they do have that feathery kind of look, so they are really pretty. Besides being obviously very, very helpful for the body and mind and spirit. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah. So now, one of the things too that with the mimosa plant or the mimosa tree, you made, wasn't it, there was tinctures and there was stuff where grounded up?
Yeah, I made tincture, and then I also have it in my apothecary as bulk herb. So if somebody wanted to come and get just a mimosa leaf to make tea from, it makes a beautiful tea. The flowers in tea are very potent. So they have very much a perfume type of a flavor. And the bark has its own very distinct flavor too. So in using the bark and the flower, I mostly do that in tincture. But the leaf does make a really beautiful, mild flavored tea that very quickly lifts your mood. So I have a couple of my students that come in and right away they'll make a cup of mimosa leaf tea before we sit down to class.
Oh, that's funny. Well, this sounds like a really good place to take a break. So first I want to, we'll hold on the line and thank everyone for listening to Angel Talk with Sue every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern on Thrive Talk Network. And we will be right back after this short break.
Okay. So 16:50 is a break. Okay. I'm going to lead you back in.
Yep.
We good with everything?
Yeah.
All right.
The conversation is going. Okay, good. Conversation
really
is a little different, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, it's really good. When we get back, we'll do the first question?
Yeah. I'll just say, oh, yeah, on break, Mark told me that we had a question. So, yeah,
we'll
perfect.
Lead into it from that. Okay.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, and you're back with Angel Talk with Sue, with your host, Sue Broome. Sue, take it away.
Thank you, Mark. And you are listening live to Angel Talk with Sue. And my guest today is Kris Vaughan from Herbal Wisdom Institute here in Prescott Valley. So, and Mark, now you said that there was a web chat question that came up over the break. So if you wanted to read that to us, that would be great.
You got it, Sue. And this is from Sierra79. Hi, Sue and Kris. I have to tell you, I love your show, and I meditate with the Angels every day.
Yay! Yay!
It makes my day much easier to start. I have a question for Kris. My brother is going through changes in mental status. He is only 44. I do not like traditional Western medicine. Is there anything in the herbal family that could help?
Oh, that's a great question. It's all yours, Kris.
That is a good question. We have a lot of choices, but without knowing really what exactly is changing in his mental status, it's hard to really pinpoint. But we do have a lot of herbs that help with improving memory. But is it a matter of mental status changing, like he's going through depression, or is it that something larger like early dementia or early Alzheimer's? So those two situations are going to be, we're going to choose very different herbs for those. It would be difficult to just pinpoint one without knowing more information.
And I think, Mark, did you say that there was a follow-up to the question? Okay. I believe there was. I want to say it was early stage.
I'm sorry. I lost you there for a second. Yes, it was early stage Alzheimer's disease.
Okay, early stage Alzheimer's. All right. So there's a few things that are really important when you're looking at early stage Alzheimer's, which they actually now are classifying as type 3 diabetes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They did, yeah. So that's really kind of a new term that they're using to describe that. So the big thing that you want to really do first is getting control over nutrition, and really making sure that not only are we reducing sugars, like in the form of refined sugars and grains in the diet, but then also really making sure that our diet is full of healthy fats. We need lots of essential fatty acids because our brain is mostly fat tissue. So we need fat for the brain to function. So that's nutritionally what you would really want to look at first. And I always do that first because if we just start throwing herbs at something, without looking at the fundamentals of how we're nourishing the body and what we're fueling these cells with, then all we're doing is putting a bandage on it and not really fixing why something is there to begin with. But once you've taken a look at nutrition, and making sure that you have those good healthy fats in the diet, there are definitely some herbs that are extremely helpful in this situation. So the first one that comes to mind is gotu kola or ginkgo biloba. Either one of those herbs increases circulation to the brain, increases the integrity of the vascular structures so that blood can flow better. But these two herbs very much have a strong affinity for the brain and brain function. So by increasing circulation to the brain, we will have better memory, better logic, better cognitive function and support. So those are two to look at. The other one that I really love, and that feels really right in this kind of a situation, is rosemary. And we all have that in our kitchen, so it's very easy for us to access, right? And it's very easy to grow a rosemary plant so that you can always have fresh rosemary. And you can do rosemary in a tea or in a tincture. And what's really great is they have done some studies and they have found that rosemary, within about an hour or so of taking rosemary, increases memory by 70%.
Ooh, so that is so cool.
Huge. Yeah, so those are some things that I would recommend that they give a try. And these are also some things that are very safe, so you don't really have to worry too much about herb-drug interactions with ginkgo, gotu kola, and rosemary.
Well, and rosemary is one of those things that, boy, you could, put it on your potatoes, put it on your vegetables, make a tea, and just have like a whole kind of a round gamut of rosemary.
That's right. And food is really the best way to get our medicine because our body knows exactly what to do with it when we take it in as food. So the more of these healing things you can put into the diet, the better. I just had a very simple snack when I was at a botanical conference this weekend, and it was cucumber with goat cheese that was mixed with rosemary. And then there was a cherry tomato on top, and it was delicious. Delicious. So that's a great way to get some rosemary.
No kidding. Well, and now in the classes, because you do different herbal classes where you teach people how to make different things, do you, is rosemary one of those things that you teach, or is it other herbs that you teach for making the salves and things?
Yep, I don't often use rosemary in a salve, not that you couldn't, but that's just not one that's come up for me, but I use it a lot in tinctures for people, and then of course essential oil. So for Sierra 79, they could also diffuse rosemary essential oil in his space. So if he's not physically taking rosemary, he's getting the rosemary as he inhales and through the limbic system, which goes directly into the brain. So that's a great way to use rosemary. But yes, I teach a lot of different herbs for a variety of different things. When I have my herbalism students that are studying to become herbalists, they study over 150 herbs during their course of study for a variety of different things. So I kind of work them with that.
Well, and Sierra 79 thanks you and promises to let you know how it works, which is awesome, because it really is. I mean, and especially with rosemary, it's so versatile. And yeah, I use essential oils all the time, and I'm diffusing, especially lately with allergy stuff in the air. I'm diffusing peppermint, lavender, and lemon are the trio that I keep seeing. But it takes 10 minutes to get into your system if you're diffusing it? Is it that?
I'm not sure about time frame. I know when I'm doing a diffusion, I'm usually doing it for at least 20 minutes. And I might do that several times a day. Some people just put it on and let it run all day, right? And that's fine too.
I do it all night. I mean, I turn it on when I go to bed, and it just, it goes out when it's done. Right. But I want to say that for it to actually start getting into your system, I was thinking it was pretty quick. It was maybe it's 20 minutes, but I know it's quick. And so, boy, there's a lot of different versatility with just rosemary alone. Right. Now, with the classes that you do, what are some of the other things that you actually do teach in the classes? Like if I were to sign up for a class, so I'm not learning how to, 150 plants and herbs. Right. No, thank you. Just a couple things, one at a time.
Yeah, I have classes for all different interest levels. So let's say you just wanted to learn how to make a delicious herbal syrup as a way to use herbs at home. You can come and take a class on making herbal syrups, or a class on just making tinctures. Maybe you want to learn how to make it all. I have an herbal medicine making intensive day coming up in July, where you'll spend the entire day with me learning how to make every kind of herbal preparation that there is. So that's fun. But then you can also come and take classes on natural remedies for your kids and your babies, herbs for stress, anxiety, and depression. Sometimes I teach a class on herbs for digestive health. Or I do a 6-week class, which is herbal medicine basics. And that's a really great way to learn what are herbs, why do they work, how do they work, and how do we use them at home for common conditions that we all experience. Mm-hmm. So that's a fun class if you want to spend more than just an hour or so coming to learn something. So lots of different things that we do. And then the plant walks, of course.
I know. One of these days I am going to have to do a plant walk.
Yes,
I know. We do have another web chat question too. So Mark, are you there?
Absolutely.
All right.
And Sierra 79 has another question. Hi, Sue. I wanted to ask Kris what a good plant to have to maintain positive energy would be.
Okay, positive energy. So rosemary comes up again. Rosemary is a very protective plant. And centuries ago, they would plant rosemary by their front door to keep away evil spirits. Okay. And so it promoted only the positive, loving, protective energy coming into the home. So that's one that I often recommend. I actually just put a couple of rosemary plants outside the back door of my school as well, because I tend to get some visitors here spiritually that just don't need to be here. So I put rosemary out there to kind of send them on their way.
Well, I'm sorry. Sierra 79 sent back. I'll plant it and give it to my brother. Win-win. Thank you, ladies.
Yay.
That is win. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure it, you said it keeps away negativity. I think it also keeps away bugs or something. I think it does. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, which is really awesome. Now, also, I know that our ancestors, which that's what you're doing the talk about coming up at Spirit in Motion Expo, coming up April 29th here in Prescott, Arizona, connecting with their ancestors and how they used herbs they had to use it. They didn't have medicine like we have, did they?
No, the plants were their medicine. And it's really, really interesting when we look back at the usage of herbal medicine. Of course, it's from the very beginning of time. When we were created with these plants around us to meet all of our needs as food, as medicine, for shelter, for, a multitude of household goods. And so what's really fascinating is before written history, before anything was able to be documented in books, we can look back at people in very different parts of the world that had the same plants, and they were all using them in the exact same way.
I love that.
And it's amazing to think, how did they know on two opposite sides of the world how to use these plants? And what to use them for, right? So, there's a few theories. One is that they would just do a lot of observation, right, of the plant. Right. So they would look at the plant, they would observe the soil, they would observe how the birds and the animals interacted with the plant, and when they would come to certain plants, if they were sick, did they come to a particular plant, or did they only use a particular plant if they were well, or did they avoid it altogether? And so that gave them some clues. Another theory is that it was divine intervention, that God spoke to them and told them how to use these plants. And then another theory is that it was a lot of trial and error, which I'm sure it was. They would give somebody a plant and they would die, and they would go, oh, don't do that again. Right? So, but really the reality probably is that it was a mixture of all three. Because these cultures were very connected to the earth and very connected to their creator. And this is something that we have lost in society as a whole. We became industrialized. We don't spend time in nature like we used to. So we haven't exercised our muscle of listening to these plants and what are these plants wanting to tell us, because they will give us clues if we open up to listening. And then we have the beautiful opportunity now with books to look back at traditionally how these plants were used, and now modern day, how do we use them? And oftentimes it's exactly the same still. Other times we may find that now that we know a chemical structure of a plant, that there are many other uses that our ancestors didn't know of. Right. So that's pretty fantastic too.
It is, and it brings to mind a question from the perspective, okay, I'm going to go back to mimosa. So I don't have anything in mimosa tincture or anything in my house, but if I know that it is a tree of happiness, if I have a picture of mimosa, does it have some of the same properties as the actual tincture herb plant?
It does. So oftentimes we only need to call on the spirit, the energy of a particular plant, and we receive healing. And I experienced this firsthand when I was in my herbalism program. When I started that program, I was having a lot of anxiety and some panic attacks. And so I was often using passion flower tea when I would feel this panic and anxiety come up. And so one day I was having a particularly strong panic reaction. So I went to my cupboard and I pulled my jar of dried rosemary, or not rosemary, we were talking about rosemary earlier, dried passion flower. I pulled it down out of the cupboard and I held it to my chest while I used my other hand to close the cupboard door. And then all of a sudden I thought, maybe I don't need this. And I put it back up in the cupboard. And it stopped me in my tracks. I was like, what just happened? And I realized that over time I had created such a relationship with passion flower that all I had to do was hold that near me. And it gave me the healing that I needed at that moment. And it's really fascinating how that happens. I just had another experience 2 days ago, actually. I went for a massage, and I had a particular muscle that was extremely bunched up, painful to the touch. And as I'm being worked on by my massage therapist, I was telling her that I had just come from a class where the speaker talked about a plant called lobelia that we often use for lung issues. And he had infused it in some oil and he was working with somebody who was having a big muscle tension reaction. And so he decided to pull out his lobelia oil and massage that into her muscles. And he said he had never seen this before, but the bunch of the muscle just dissolved under his fingertips while using lobelia oil. And I just thought that was fascinating. So I'm telling her this, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen this happen before. Your muscle just completely relaxed." So all cool. I had to do was call on lobelia in that room, and it broke through that muscle tension. It was, I've been doing this for 8 years now, and I will always be amazed by these miracles, really, that happen when we allow them. It was fascinating.
Oh, love that. Oh. Well, and now moving on to a different, we have another question coming up on web chat from somebody.
Yep, and this one is from Lisa G. Hello, Sue and Kris. I suffer from Lyme's disease. What would be a good herbal supplement to help with the pain?
First of all, I'm sorry that you are suffering with Lyme disease. That's a big one and sometimes hard to handle. So I hope that you have a really good support system around you. And each person presents very differently when they have Lyme disease. So a lot of herbs that may be chosen for one person would be completely different for someone else. But one that comes up is one of our Artemisia species. It's called mugwort. And Artemisia vulgaris, I believe, is the botanical name for that. And that's really great for a lot of the symptoms of Lyme's, not just the pain, but also actually fighting the infection. There's chemicals in Artemisia. There's one in particular called artemisinin that is really beneficial for those dealing with Lyme. And of course, it would go along with probably some other plants, but that's the one that's coming up most strong for you. So that would be one worth looking into. And something like Lyme disease, you would really want to make sure that you have some good guidance in terms of your medical care, whether you're doing that through conventional medicine or through natural things. So if you're in the area and you're wanting to work with an herbalist, you can contact me and we can work together. Or if you're out of this area, you can find a local herbalist or a naturopathic physician that is well versed in botanical medicine as well as in Lyme disease. Or I also do work by telephone. So I would really encourage you to look at mugwort and see what that says to you, and then search for additional support as well.
And
so
I'm sorry, Lisa G also had a quick question. Should I buy capsules or grow the plant itself?
That's a great question. So, of course, you can buy capsules, or you can do mugwort as a tea. Anytime that we have the opportunity to grow our own medicine, we get a much more powerful response when we take that medicine because of that relationship that we're forming. As we're nurturing this plant and then the plant nurtures us back. So if you are a gardener and you have the opportunity to grow some mugwort, by all means, I highly encourage you to do that, because that's really going to give you not only the physical medicine that you need, but a spiritual medicine as well through that nurturing of that relationship.
I love that. So now, Kris, if she did want to work with you, what's the best way for her to get a hold of you, whether she's here or whether she's, anywhere? What's the best way for her to get a hold of you?
Okay, you can always call my office, which is 928-227-2760, or you can contact me through my website, which is herbalwisdominstitute.com, and you can send me a message right through that website, and then I will get in touch with you. So those are the two easiest ways. And then, of course, if you're in the area in Prescott Valley, you can just stop on in.
So now I know that your clinic offers other things besides what you do. What are some of the other things that you have available?
Yes, in our wellness clinic, we have thermal imaging, which is a medical imaging technique that uses no radiation. And it senses tissue changes years sooner than traditional imaging techniques like mammogram. So that's a wonderful service that we have here. And that's done by Northern Arizona Thermal Imaging. And she comes here on the second Saturday of each month. And then I also have a practitioner that does energetic work. So she does hypnotherapy and Reiki, but then she also does lymphatic drainage massage and cupping. And then I have two other traditional massage therapists that do a variety of massage techniques, as well as cupping and lymphatic drainage, cranial sacral therapy. And then we also offer a therapy called NeuroLumen. And this is a machine that is LED, muscle stimulation, and cold laser therapy. And so that's excellent for tissue repair, reducing inflammation, and reducing chronic pain, specifically that may have come from traumas or injuries.
Wow. Wow, it sounds like you have a full gamut of things at the Herbal Wisdom Institute on Florentine here in Prescott Valley. Yay! And also, I want to make sure and remind everyone, if you are in Prescott area in Northern Arizona, April 29th, Kris will be at the Spirit in Motion Expo all day long, and then she also will be doing a talk at 3 o'clock called The Wisdom of Healing with the Plants. So I'm very excited about you joining us that day, Kris. And I want to thank you so much for coming back on and going through the herbal wisdom and how it related to our ancient ancestors and what we can do to increase, the relationship that we have with plants as well.
Thank you very much, Sue. I really enjoyed being on with you again and being able to share with people what I'm so passionate about. So I really appreciate the opportunity, and I appreciate the opportunity to always be at Spirit in Motion Expo. It's such a great event.
Yay! We love it too. So thank you very much. And yeah, everybody that's listening to the replay, you heard a little bit different version, and there was a couple of aha moments and things that we didn't hear in the live show. So that's pretty awesome too. So thank you, Kris. You have a fabulous day, and I will chat with you later.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
We are going to go into a meditation now, so I think we all need it after those couple little losing connections. So
a lot of energy out there.
A lot of energy. So everybody, take that as a sign that we all need to get connected and in the flow with not only the divine, but what's going on around us. So with that, I'd like you to take a couple of deep breaths. Get yourself settled in your chair. And I'd like you to take a breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And again, in and out. And as you're getting more and more settled into your chair, notice what's going on in your body. Just notice. Don't give too much attention to it, but just notice. Just be an observer. Are you feeling warm? Are you feeling cool? Are you noticing the angels stepping in closer? If you've been doing these with me, have you automatically brought in the divine connection from your crown chakra and automatically brought in the connection and the love from Mother Earth up through your feet chakras? You can feel this energy flowing from above and from below, connecting and anchoring at our hearts. This connection is always here. When we do this, we are just strengthening the connection. So feel that. And today, as you're feeling the love and the energy coming up from Mother Earth, just as Kris was saying, let the plants talk to you. See if you can feel any of the healing energy of the plants that are coming automatically up through your feet chakras. Just feel this flow. For instance, I have roses right outside my window, and the rose is known for love. So feeling the loving energy of the rose. So feel all of this connection from above and from Mother Earth, flowing through your bodies. You can feel the loving energy. And if there's any stresses, any thoughts of nervousness, any worry, just let it go. Let it flow out to the world, to the universe, to be transmuted to love. So we're taking in love and letting everything else go. Because when it boils right down to it, that's all there is love. Love is the answer to everything. If you have some form of dis-ease going on in your body, send loving energy to it. Whether it's an organ, whether it's where you got bitten by a bug, a bee sting, whether you stubbed your toe, whether your stomach is upset from something that you ate, send loving energy to that part of your body. And appreciate, thank you for bringing this to my attention. Appreciation and love. Feeling that just fill up in every cell of your body, in all of your organs, in your hands, in your feet, in your eyes, in your ears, even in your hair. Just allow the love to come out. And everything that doesn't belong, say thank you and let it go. Feel the loving energy in your body. There's a calmness, there's peace that comes over your entire being. Maybe there's a soothing that you feel. All of this is because you are allowing yourself to feel the love. Breathe a couple more times deep into your diaphragm, so you can feel this loving air come in all the way to the very tips of your lungs, and then all the way to the tips of your toes. And as you exhale, feel it come from the tips of your toes, the bottom of your lungs, And exhale all of this excess. Allow it to go. And then slowly come back into your bodies, wiggling your hands and feet, getting yourself more centered into your body, more grounded into this 3D world we live in, into your physical surroundings. Coming all the way back in, moving your head from side to side. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. I want to thank everyone for listening to Angel Talk with Sue. It's live on Thrive Talk Network every Monday Eastern. And thank you all for listening to Meditate with the Angels, 7 a.m. Eastern on Thrive Talk Network. Thank you so much, everybody. Angel blessings to you.